since beta, when it was just Fishing Planet before the retail release came out, and I've noticed a huge issue. Most of these videos on YouTube assume that you know a lot of the terminology that they're discussing when they talk about guides within the Fisherman and Fishing Planet. This terminology goes across both games, the free-to-play and the retail version of the game. If you're interested in what these terminologies, these words, these phrases that you're hearing in these videos mean and what they mean to the game and you as a player, stay tuned. I'm going to break down the most commonly used terms and phrases in the Fisherman, Fishing Planet, and Fishing Planet. Stay tuned, and let's get right into it. All right, well, welcome to the first ever Fishing Planet, the Fisherman Fishing Planet video that I am doing for you guys. So thank y'all for joining me. Hopefully you get something out of this content. If you do, I do invite you to go ahead, smash that thumbs up emoji, and if you feel so inclined, definitely subscribe. I'm looking to do more and more of these videos about the Fisherman and Fishing Planet because I've recently got back into the game since the retail launch and really enjoying it. Wanted to share my experiences with you guys. So first and foremost, what you're looking at is once you have logged into the game, you're going to come to, I believe it's going to be after the tutorial, which walks you through the basics, but you're going to come to the map. So at the very top of the screen, what you're going to see is you're going to see your tabs to navigate the UI. Basically, this is your map. Your starting location is Lone Star Lake in Texas, and I'm going to walk you through kind of the overview of what you're looking at here and what you're going to hear people say when you watch a Fishing Planet guide. The map is going to guide you through everywhere that you can fish. You can left click to move the mouse around the planet map to the different locations. There are some European locations as well. All of that unlocks as you progress through the game. Like any game, you are going to earn experience. That is going to level you up. So you hear people talk about an experience grind or a money grind in this game. And we're going to get right into that. So that's the way you level up to unlock new locations is you catch fish, you get experience for those fish, as well as two different kinds of in-game currency to be used to progress further into the game. So the currency in Fishing Planet is a dollar currency and a Baitcoin currency. Baitcoin is a premium currency, and you'll hear people refer to Baitcoins a lot for buying DLC and or purchasing higher end gear. So there are two currencies within the game. There's one experience farm basically within the game. So you'll hear people talk about, when you're looking at these videos, experience grind, best money, best experience, etc. That is what they're talking about. That can be found right here underneath your player name. You'll see your bait coins, and then right beside that you'll see your money that you have earned while you've been fishing. The first tab that we're going to talk about is the map tab. This is going to give you an overview of the location you have selected, correct? Like if you select a location, it's going to tell you some very important information about the location. So it's going to give you the location and the level, the weather forecast, which is very important in this game, the fish that can be caught there, your licensing, and your travel cost. So right off the bat, everyone's going to tell you make sure you have a license. If you click on the license tab, it is going to show you a basic license and an advanced license. Okay, I'm going to go to a location that I do not have a license purchased for, so I can show y'all what that looks like. We're going to go down to Louisiana here, and we're going to go to license. You're going to see basic license as well as you're going to see your advanced license. My suggestion to everyone is to buy the advanced license if at all possible. The reason you want to buy the advanced license is because it allows you to keep everything you catch and sell it. Whereas with the basic, you cannot keep, you have to release certain trophies and uniques. We're going to get into that in a second. So all you have to do is go to your advanced license. If you can, in Fishing Planet, you're going to have the option to buy 1 day, 2 day, 5 day, 1 week, and unlimited. If you can afford to do it, my suggestion is always purchase the unlimited license. In the Fisherman Fishing Planet, you either buy the basic license or the advanced license, and those are all unlimited. Once you buy them, they are yours. You do not have to repurchase them. So just to show y'all what it looks like when you buy an advanced license, you're just going to select the payment option, and you are going to purchase it. I already have the advanced license. Okay. Did not know that. Apparently I already have it, but it doesn't. Oh, okay. Now it's telling me I have it. No problem. So when you're looking at the map section, if you click on the weather forecast, it is going to give you a day and a night cycle. What you need to understand as a new player in Fishing Planet, the peak, the orange yellow part, is the prime time during the day to catch fish. And that changes from day to day. In the night, it's the same thing. The peak is the highest time, the best time to fish, the best time to catch fish. So what you can do is you can look at your time frames and pick the best time to be on the lake fishing. It's also going to give you an update as far as the temperature, the wind, and cloudy, sunny, partly cloudy. You'll see these icons. So when you're watching these videos and someone tells you to go to the peak time of the day, it changes based on the days change, the fishing patterns change during the time. Always look at your map, and that'll give you an idea of when the best time to fish in Fishing Planet is. It'll also give you a quick 7-day forecast right underneath there. Close out of that. Underneath that, we're talking fish species. These are the fish that are commonly found, or well, they're the fish found on that particular lake. And each time you click one, it will give you their preferred bait, how big they're going to be, etc. It'll also tell you underneath there if there is a trophy version. So there are 3 kinds of fish in Fishing Planet. There are common fish, trophy fish, and unique fish. Unique fish pay bait coins, which is very important. We talked about that a second ago. And they're also the heavier fish, whether you're on the imperial scale or metric scale. They are the heavier fish out of all of them. They pay the most. Basically, you get bait coins, which is a premium currency for the uniques. And they're just a lot of fun. They're a little bit more challenging. It's a difficulty level change. So common, trophy, and unique are the 3 types. Now, Lone Star does not have any uniques. So I'm going to go back to the map, and I'll show you. Let's go to Everglades, because I know that there's uniques in the Everglades. So you'll see right here, common snook has a trophy and a unique. The peacock bass has a common, a trophy, and a unique. So that's how you can determine when you're targeting a fish species if you're taking the right stuff with you. So you can look at your fish species, determine what you want to fish for. It'll kind of give you a breakdown of preferred lures, baits, etc., and if there is common, trophy, and unique of those particular fish. Travel cost. For Lone Star, that's your starting lake, there is no travel cost. As you progress through the game, you'll notice there is a daily travel cost. That is different from Fishing Planet to the Fisherman. The travel costs do change, and you need to be aware of that. And the reason travel cost is important in this particular game is because when you leave the lake, you have to pay the travel cost again to go back. So you want to make sure that you have the proper setup, lures, baits that you want to fish with prior to leaving. So this gives you an overview of the map tab. If you move over to inventory, just like it says, this is going to be your inventory. Do not look at the gear that I have. I have some DLC that I have purchased through the game, through Steam. So I have some different setups. So let's talk about setups. What is a setup? You'll hear people say, take this setup. Your setup is your rod, your reel, your line, your lure, and possibly something like this, where you have a sinker, a leader, a hook, a bell, and a live bait. So you have several setups within the game. When you start the game, you're going to have one slot. You start with one setup. So this is a setup. If you click on the person, it's going to take you to your avatar, your character, whatever you want to call it. This is actually where, as you progress through the game, you can get hats, which allow you to carry more tackle. Like this hat in particular has a durability of 94 out of 100 because I've been fishing with it. I can add one tackle to my backpack and like my vest, for instance, right? Like, so I'm wearing my Predator vest, 15 tackles and 2 lines. That adds room in my backpack for me to carry extra tackle, lures, hooks, lines. The carrying case is how you get multiple setups. So I'm carrying 4 setups right now because I have a bigger tackle case. And I think that there's some in the game, when we go to shop, we can look. But there's some in the game that you can have 6 or 7 extra rods and reels, etc. There's rod stands. There's tackle. So that's basically a tackle box. There are keep nets, which are extremely important in this game because you can only keep whatever your keep net maximum is. So for me, my total fish weight that I can keep is 440 pounds. It also limits the single fish weight. So single fish weight, meaning I can only keep fish under 165 pounds. Anything above 165 pounds, I have to let go. I cannot keep for money. So it's important when you're looking at your fish net that you're taking the biggest total fish weight and single fish weight that you can afford. It's very important because you want to be on the lake for longer for that money grind. But when you hear people talk about keep nets, stringers, this is where they're equipped within your player. And then I also have a boat, which that's a later game thing, and it's camo. So a setup is a rod, a reel, line, lure, hooks, bait. This is your setup. So when you hear people discuss, here's the setup for this lake catching this unique fish or this fish, this is what they're discussing, are these right here. Now as you move across, you're going to see a vertical and a horizontal bar. You're going to have your backpack, your home inventory, special inventory, templates, and your license, as well as you go down, you can basically filter what you have in your backpack, like your lines, terminal tackle, live baits, your different lures, right? In your home. Now your home can only be accessed when you're on the map. You cannot access your home inventory from the lake. You have to be on the select map. But your home inventory is where you're going to have all your extra gear for your different setups. You can see I have a lot of different things that I have going on. So that is where your home is. Your home inventory cannot be taken with you to the lake. So always make sure you have the right lures in your backpack. It is very simple. Let's take crickets, for instance. I want to take crickets with me. I'm going to drag and drop crickets into my backpack. It goes out of my home inventory and moves over to my backpack. So it is a drag and drop procedure from home to backpack. I always suggest setting everything up before you leave for the lakes, but we'll get into that at a later time. This is just an overview video. Shop is of course what it says. It's where you're going to buy all of your gear. And just like everything else set up in here, you're going to have your rods, your reels, your lines, your terminal tackle, lures, bait, and services, which basically buy extra storage. But anyways, we won't get too much into that. I want to talk about rods and reels because you're going to hear a lot in these videos about spinning, telescopic, match, casting, feeder, bottom, carp, etc. So rods are very important because you can fish certain ways with certain rods. So for instance, on a spinning rod, if you look at the value spin 6 foot 3 inch, what you're going to see is you'll see this box here. It looks like a square, and it's going to tell you what you can attach to it. So this, for instance, you can attach a spinning reel, not a bait caster. You cannot do float fishing with a bobber. This is designed only for lure use. So when you are looking to fish a certain way, whether that's float fishing, for instance, like this Omni float, spinning reel is what you have to put on it, and you can only do float fishing. So it's very important when you're looking at this to match the right rods with reels so that you can perform whatever you want to do, whether that is float fishing, bottom fishing, bait casting, or lure fishing with the spinning reel. So this is where you would find the rods, and the reels come into spinning and casting. Those are the two reel types that you have. So that is your rod and reel setup. That's the important thing about the rods, is make sure if you're going to do bottom fishing, you get a bottom rod. If you're going to do feeder fishing, which is very, very popular, feeder fishing and bottom fishing in this game are very popular, make sure that you purchase the appropriate rod and reel to go with it. You don't want to get in a situation where you spend this currency and then you buy the wrong reel, or you buy a rod and reel setup that you can't use at the lake you're wanting to do a certain thing at. So everything else is fairly self-explanatory through this process here. Let's move on to missions. Missions are just what they say. They are just like any RPG that you've ever played. Missions award certain things. So for instance, if you select a mission and you were to complete the task listed here, your reward would be XP, bait coins, money, and then a trophy single spoon, 1.5 ounce, 4/0 hook. Let's get into that real quick. What does all of that mean? So we'll start with the 1.5 ounce. I do play Imperial because I am from the States. So there are grams and there are ounces depending on if you're on the metric setup or the Imperial setup. 1.5 ounce is the weight of the lure, line, or whatever you're working with. So your ounce is your weight, how heavy that is. Your 4/0 hook is the size of the hook. The larger the hook, the larger the fish you can catch. So just be aware of those things when you're looking at your lures. So missions can be tracked, they can be untracked. They'll show up on the deal for you to kind of take a look at, track where you're at with them. You also have a sport tab at the top where you can do competitions against other people. You register during a certain time and fish, and it'll actually tell you, for instance, this one right here, this top water rodeo, if you hit view, it'll allow you to scroll down and see exactly what that competition entails. 30 minutes, what you can use, what you can't use, your minimum level, your entry fee, and your rewards. We won't get into that. And as far as packs are concerned, packs are DLC or downloadable content, and they unlock different rods and reels for different prices. You can buy any of these when you have enough bait coins. So let's get into, we're gonna move on along. Let's go into our inventory and talk about, let's go to this guy right here. Let's talk about what you see and what you'll hear people talk about with these rods and reels as far as making a setup. So your length, your maximum weight, this particular setup will go from 1 to 3 ounces on the lure weight or the power. This is an extra heavy pole, so that's going to have less give. The line weight, this is important. You don't want to exceed 50.5 pound test line, meaning 50.5 pound line when you're looking at your line. And same thing with the reel. The important things to look at here is going to be your drag, and that is actually set how much line is pulled out when you catch a fish and they take off running, and recovery, how quick you're going to recover that line. So you got that going for you. So let's go and take a look at some of the other stuff you're going to hear mentioned. We're going to go to Lone Star because it's free to go to Lone Star. That's why we're doing that. When you get to a lake, the tutorial will walk you through a lot of this. You're going to select a location. Go private room. I do a private room so that I don't get interrupted. Walk down to the water. Down to the water. Your fishing pole will come out just like that. Let's switch to a different pole. And what you're actually going to see, let me change this real quick. Settings. All right. Let's change it back to what you're gonna see. Starting with, this is the simple setup on the right hand side. With your mouse, you're gonna have right click and left click available. So if you right click, it is going to bring out an option for setting kind of where you want that cast to. If you wanted to cast it over here, put it where you want it. Click the left click button. The bar fills up. Stop it closer than that to where you need to be, and that's how you perform a cast. So there we go. Cast your whatever out there. In this case, I'm using a jerkbait, which probably not going to work very well. Doesn't matter. So when you right click to set the hook or lift your rod tip, you left click to reel in. Now on the right hand side at the bottom, you'll see a nice wheel that gives you your drag settings, and you can adjust those with plus and minus on the keyboard. So if you notice there, plus is going to increase your drag, meaning the fish cannot take as much line, or it's tougher for the fish to take line. They can still take it. Minus means they can run with it a little bit more. Usually you're wanting to find a nice little spot in the middle. That is what the drag does, right? So you adjust your drag. You'll hear people talk about drag when they're reeling fish in. The other thing that you'll see is the speed. So in the center, it's how fast you're going to retrieve the lure, the bait, whatever you've cast out there. That is the center mouse wheel to scroll up and down to adjust the speed. Now that we have a lure in the water, you'll hear people say, do stop and go retrieve. A retrieve is how you bring the lure in, or the presentation your lure makes. So for instance, if we wanted to do stop and go, we would left click and let go. Left click and let go. You can adjust the speed to bring it in quicker, or reduce the speed to bring it in slower. There are several presentations in the game. There's several retrieves, and I might do a video just on how to do the different retrieves later on. But when you hear someone talk about a retrieve or a presentation, that is what they're discussing, how you bring the lure back in. So, for instance, this is a different retrieve called twitching, where you hold the rod tip up. It's probably my favorite retrieve, and you slowly reel in. So the other thing, to retrieve everything very quickly, hold shift, it automatically puts it at max speed, and then when you left click, it'll bring it in a lot quicker. So on this screen, what you see on the right is the tension when you catch a fish. This is the simple setup. The setup that I prefer using is the Pro setup, because it does give you a gauge for each different thing. So it gives you a gauge for your line, your rod, and your reel. So you can really see what might fail. If you catch a big fish and your line can't support it, your line is going to go into the red at the top, and you're kind of going to need to Alt F4 or your line's going to break. The top left-hand corner, you'll see the time, the temperature, the wind, your keep net or stringer, how much fish you can have, your total fish weight, etc. What I typically do is I play with a controller. So my setup is a little bit different. You can play with the controller, but I usually just cast out wherever I want, do my retrieve. My hook is way too big to catch anything out here, so we will not be catching anything on this lake with this setup, but you know, we might try. Let's see if I have anything smaller I can put on here. So once you're at this menu here, you can go into your inventory. Let's see if we can find us a smaller. You know what? This will be good. We're going to put on our frog popper. See if we can catch us a fish on video for you guys. We're also going to adjust the time. Like I told y'all before, we're going to look at our map. The best time to fish right now is going to be about 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So, to advance your time, you're going to hit T. And we said 6 o'clock. Go to 6 o'clock, forward the time. Simple as that. Now we have forwarded the time. We're in peak fishing time. I know a nice little spot here where there's usually some grass pickerel or spotted bass, and I love topwater fishing, so there's that. Let's see if we can get a strike, and I can show y'all what it looks like when you catch a fish in Fishing Planet or the Fisherman. I still might have too big a tackle. Oh, that was a nice little strike. Guy might have been too small to actually take it. So, if you've noticed some of the activity on the top of the water, another thing you'll hear quite regularly in videos is to look for active spots, areas that fish are being active and either splashing around, or there's bait fish running, anything like that. What you can kind of see is the bait fish running in the top water, the fish hitting on the top water, etc. So that is how you can determine if a spot is currently active. So there's no penalty for leaving Texas. There's no travel cost. It's kind of like your home base. So let's jump out here. Let's get out of Texas. And go to one of my favorite spots, which is Florida in the Everglades. I just want to show y'all what it looks like to catch fish, so you can see kind of what we're discussing. So these are your different locations on the map. Each one brings you to a different spot. Again, check your forecast. Make sure that you're in a good peak time and go fishing. So I want to go 1 hour forward. It's going to put us in a little bit more of a peak time. Let's see. It's about 3/4 of the way out there. There it is. So I'm gonna back off and let this kind of tell you guys. Oh, he pulled right off of that. If you notice all three of those gauges going, that's gonna determine the fish fight, how much fight that fish is gonna give you, and what your weakest link is in your setup as far as your line or anything like that. So let's just let this guy, as you can see, my gear is a little bit overpowered for what we're doing, but it'll give you your tensions on your rods, your reel, and your line. A decent little, cute little largemouth bass right there. When you catch a fish, you have two options: to release that fish or to keep it. To get the money and or bait coins, you have to keep the fish. It has to be able to go into your keep net. So when you get to this screen, you're going to see your pounds or your kilograms if you're on the metric system, the length of your fish, the money you are going to get for keeping that fish, which for me in this spot is $344, and the experience, like we discussed, the experience that you get for catching it. I have 3 little red down arrows because my gear is way too high for this place, and that means I catch the fish easier, so I take an experience decelerator, so to speak. You can also have, if you catch a fish with gear under the lake or a river level, you'll see green arrows in the opposite direction, meaning you are getting the maximum amount of experience possible. So let's keep this guy and see what else is happening. Quick overview of when you catch and release. That's why it's important to buy the advanced license, because you can keep all the trophies and uniques that you can. And just like that, you'll see as you lift the rod tip, it's again overpowered for this lake, or the Everglades. So 16-inch fish, $396.24 experience gained. That is the basis for what Fishing Planet is about. Before we take off, I'm going to show you guys in settings how you can adjust. If you're an American player and you wanted to see the Imperial system, then you can select Imperial. If you're a European player or anybody outside of the United States, you could definitely do the metric system, which is going to change ounces to grams. It's going to change inches or ounces to grams and kilograms, inches to centimeters, all of that. You can also change your language. You can do your tackle indicator here. You can change your bobber size when you are float fishing. So in settings, you're going to have all these options to really customize it the way you want to see it, if you like the simple setup versus the pro setup. And if you're looking at seeing more in ounces and inches versus grams and centimeters, then that's definitely where you can adjust that. So awesome. It's a good little starter video, guys. I want to thank y'all for checking it out. If you have any questions or there are terms that you hear in videos that you don't quite understand, please let me know in the comments down below. If there's anything you would like to see on the Fishing Planet or the Fisherman Fishing Planet. I do have some ideas for some leveling guides that I want to do that are based around the United States system, the imperial system, so it's a little bit easier to follow the setups. I also have some ideas of doing some guides on catching the monster fish. The monster fish are really fun. I've done that in Fishing Planet, and now I get to go back and do it again in the Fisherman. So look forward to doing some more fishing guides for you guys. But quick beginners, simple setup, simple overview of what to expect, what you're going to hear in these videos as you watch them, the terminology, the types of fish, and really just a good, clean overview of what Fishing Planet and the terminology you hear in all these videos. So again, thank y'all for sticking around. If you liked what you saw, do that thing, hit that little thumbs up emoji down below, and I look forward to producing more videos and making more content for you guys. So thank you. It's been your boy Trey. Y'all stay awesome. Get out there. If you can't get out there on the lakes, get on your computer and get on the lakes.